You'll turn this in with your quiz on Monday. So be sure your name is on it. Okay. So when we're graphing inequalities, first of all, we need to put that on our number line, right? So we have negative 13. To the left is getting more negative because it's getting smaller. To the right is getting less negative because it's getting bigger. Now, because this is less than or equal to, we're going to have a closed circle. Same with greater than or equal to. That's closed too. But if we just have less than or greater than, that is an open circle at that number because it doesn't include that number. That number would not be part of the solution if it was just less than or greater than it, okay? So I have a closed circle at negative 13. And when I have my variable first, this sign is pointing in the direction that my arrow is going to go. So less than is left, and my arrow points to the left. So I'm going to look at number 2 the same way. I'm going to put 7 there. 8 and 9 would be more, right? 6 and 5 would be less. This is also has an equal to, so this is a closed circle at 7. Now, it's best if you put it so your variable term is first. So you want your symbol to always be open to the same thing. Here, it's open to the K. So I'm going to write it so that it's open to the K when I flip it, so that I know which direction my arrow is going to go in. So if I made this symbol into an arrow, it's pointing to the right because it is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, so that's how I want you to be careful with that first section, right? Be sure your variable term is first. Variable first. So your letter needs to go first. That way you can figure out which way your arrow is going more easily. Translating. On your quiz, you're going to have to translate and then solve. Okay? A number is less than or equal to 1. Well, these aren't ones you have to solve because it's just telling you what it is. Less than or equal to 1. So a number less than or equal to, you should know how to write less than or equal to, and then the number 1. A number is 3 at minimum. So a number could be 3, so it could be equal to it. If it's a minimum, that means it has to be either 3 or greater than, right? You have to be able to think these through and understand that translating stuff. So there was a video on translating inequalities. Just simply, there were other notes that we took as far as translating 2-step and 1-step as well. All right, solve each inequality and graph the solution on the number line. This is important, right? You're going to have several of these on your quiz. We want to start at the side where our variable is. Remember, we have to undo subtracting 5. So we're going to add 5 to both sides of our inequality. Then I just have A on the left side. I'm bringing down my inequality symbol. -1 plus 5 is 4. So now I need to put 4 on my number line. More would be 5, 6, 7. Less would be 3, 2, 1, right? Is my circle going to be opened or closed? opened. So I'm gonna put an open circle on 4. Be sure I can tell that you're neat enough that I can tell if it's opened or closed, right? And notice I have my variable listed first already, so my arrow is going to the left. When I have a fraction bar, that means divided by here. So to undo division, I have to multiply both sides by 5. I'm still a little flabbergasted by some of you who write it like this and then you add it. When parentheses show multiplication, unless there would be like a plus something or whatever in there, but in this case, it's not. We're multiplying here. So we are canceling the 5s out. P is less than negative 20. So I'm putting negative 20 on my number line. It gets more negative the less it is, and less negative the more it is. Is my circle at negative 20 going to be opened or closed? Say again. I mean, I could keep writing negative 23, but these numbers are really big and my space to write is not very big, so I'm not sure. Is that what you mean? Like, I mean, I could fill up all the lines. Like, I could have put a 4 up here. Doesn't really matter. As long as I know 1 or 2 on each side, you should be fine. Opened or closed circle at negative 20. Open. And as you can see, this arrow is also going to the left. All right, negative 4. When I have a number next to a letter, that shows multiplication. That we're going to use a fraction bar to show that we're dividing both sides by negative 4. We're not going to say 28 minus 4. We're going to say 28 divided by negative 4, which is negative 7. What is important? What do we have to do when we multiply or divide by a negative? We have to flip our symbol. So when we multiply or divide by negative, we have to flip the symbol. Don't forget on Monday. So now we're going to put negative 7 on our number line. More negative is less than. Less negative is greater than. Opened or closed circle at negative 7. Open. And my arrow this time is going to the right. Into 2 steps. Remember, we start on the side where our variable is, and we get rid of our constant. How do I get rid of positive 9? Negative 9. So subtract 9 from both sides. This gives me 2x. Bring down your symbol. 21 minus 9 is 12. Remember, a number next to a letter is multiplication. To undo multiplication, we have to divide both sides by the coefficient. Here are coefficients 2. This makes a 1x. That's what we wanted. X is greater than 6. So if I put 6 on my number line, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 3. Opened or closed at 6? Open, and it is greater than, so that arrow is pointing to the right. Questions on the front page? Okay there? All right. Same thing here. We're checking out the side where our variable is, getting rid of the constant. So we're going to add 13 to both sides. So n divided by 7 is greater than or equal to 2. And to undo division, we have to multiply. So n is greater than or equal to 14. Put it on your number line. Opened or closed circle at 14? Closed. And our variables listed first, so we see right away. There will be a couple of problems. One where you have to multiply by a reciprocal, and another where you have to multiply to get rid of the big denominator first. Those are just a couple of challenge problems. We've practiced them often, so I know you can do them. Now, our variable's on the other side, so we do have to jump to the right, and we have to get rid of the constant. So I have to do the opposite of +5. So I'm subtracting 5 from both sides. Be careful here. You may use a calculator tomorrow, but you should know your integer rules. When our signs are the same, we're finding the sum. 3 plus 5 is 8, and our answer is negative. It's getting more negative. 2k. Then I have to divide by my coefficient, just like I did before. -4 is greater than k. Now, remember, I would rewrite this with your variable first. So k, I want this always to open up to my number because that's how it's opened up here. So I have to flip my symbol. All right, so I'm plotting -4 here. More negative is less than. Less negative is greater than. Opened or closed circle at -4? Open. Open, and less than is to the left, where you can draw out your arrow there. All right. So for each problem, translate into an equality. 11 subtracted from a number. So a number minus 11, you're going to have one very similar, is a maximum of 14. So it could be equal to 14, or it has to be less than, because that's the maximum. Then you would solve it. So n is less than or equal to 25. The quotient of a number, remember quotient means divided by. So a is decreased by 6 and no greater than, so it's got to be less than or equal to 35. So here I would add 6 to both sides. I should have written this a lot smaller. And divided by -3 is less than or equal to 41. Then when I multiply by a negative number, what do I have to do to my symbol? I gotta flip it. Negative. N has to be greater than or equal to -123. Pete is going shopping using his credit card. If his credit card has a limit of $2,000, so he has to stay below or equal to $2,000. And he is currently holding a balance of $563. How much can he afford to spend? Right? $2,000, not 200. That would be helpful. So this is just a one-step equation. We're subtracting this from both sides. So he can spend less than or equal to, borrowing 734. Less than or equal to $1,437. That's how much he gets spent. Michelle is saving up to buy a $399 iPhone. So that means she has to have equal to or greater than that number. She already has $75 and she makes $9 per hour. So what she has added to how much she's going to earn has to be greater than or equal to how much she wants to spend on that phone. So I would subtract my constant from both sides. And then I would divide by my coefficient. So she has to work at least 324 divided by 9. She has to work at least 36 hours. 36 hours or more is how many hours she has to work. Okay? I know those last few were quick. We're running out of time. Make sure you practice these. Make sure your packet's complete. Make sure you have this in your packet on Mondays for you to use while you take the quiz. All right? Have a fantastic weekend.